Good evening, everyone. I'll just give it a minute or so in case anyone is still coming to join us. So in the meantime, just make sure you've got just something soft nearby that maybe you can use as part of your practice for a little bit of support. If you've got yoga blocks, you can also have them on hand. Otherwise, a couple of cushions or even a rolled up blanket will do very nicely. So I think we can get started. Welcome to this evening's Restorative Yoga class. We'll be going for about an hour as usual. Before we start, I just encourage you to be aware of any injuries you may have or any parts of the body that maybe feel a little bit off and maybe they don't want to be put under too much strain today. So especially things like the knees, the lower back, the ankles, shoulders and neck. If any of the postures don't feel good in the body, you're welcome to come out of it. And I'll try to make sure that we have alternatives for everyone as well. Just a note, please let me know if you can hear me or if the music is too loud in the comments. If I don't see comments, I'll assume it's fine. But in the meantime, then let us get started with our first posture today, the one we'll use to settle into class. This is not at the beginning. So we'll come to lie down on our mats, get nice and comfy, start settling. Take a constructed rest pose here, so taking your feet as one and letting your knees fold together so your lower back is nice and supported. Otherwise, if you want a little bit more, you can go into supported bridge. So you're going to keep your feet about hip width apart, just gently lifting up the hips enough that you can slide a block or a pillow just underneath the sacrum. So basically, the bottom of the spine, you don't want it to be on any of the bones that still flex. You want to think of that little flat bone just at the top of the bum and the pillow underneath there. And letting your hips rest down on the block. Maybe starting to feel a little bit of gentle lengthening down the spine. So wherever you are in constructed rest pose or supported bridge pose, just settling into the next hour of our class. Maybe bringing your hands to the belly or one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly, whatever feels good. And we'll just start to deepen our breath here to help us really focus in on how the body feels, what the body needs this evening. So inhaling through the nose, nice and deep, thinking of the lungs as balloons. So as you fill them up, it forces the belly to slowly rise to make space for all that good fresh air. And as you exhale, feeling your hands sink down and pulls towards the spine. Inhaling fill and exhaling, releasing down. So we'll do a few rounds of box breath. just to prepare us for our practice and to get our breathing nice and slowed down. So the way it works is we'll inhale for 4 counts, we'll hold for 4 counts, we'll exhale for 4, and we'll hold for 4. So everyone taking a nice deep inhale to prepare. Exhale, emptying the lungs. And inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, filling the lungs, 3, 4. Holding the breath, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. So taking a few rounds at your own pace. Rhythm for the breath. If box breath feels overly complicated today, just sitting with a nice, slow, deep breath, trying to maybe just hold a little bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom. Maybe letting your eyes fall closed if it feels good. Really focusing in on the sounds of your own breath. Taking 2 more rounds at your own pace. And now slowly blinking eyes open. Maybe the lungs feel like they have a little bit more space. Just being aware of keeping that breath nice and slow. So if at any point during practice you feel like your breathing is really starting to speed up, maybe just scanning the body first to see if you need to make any adjustments, if anything is stressing you out. And then just trying to find that slow rhythm of breath. We'll move into our first posture, which will be reclined butterfly. So we're bringing the soles of our feet together and letting our knees fall wide. So letting our knees fall wide, soles of the feet are pressed together. Here we are in reclined butterfly. Important things to note: if you feel your lower back starting to arch up, to let your legs drop open. It's a great place to slide a pillow or a block underneath each sort of outer thigh, just to give you a bit of support. You can also slide the feet slightly lower to decrease the intensity of the stretch. It can be quite an intense stretch to open up the hips like this. So just play around with what feels good, making sure you feel nice and supported. And then when you've sorted out the lower half and you feel comfortable there, you can see about what variation you'd like to take with your arms. So you can either let your arms come to your sides and shape. You can just let arms open to the sides, elbows, whatever feels good for the shoulders and for the neck. I'm going to go with a nice grabbing opposite elbows overhead, give some nice opening for the chest. With restorative yoga, we hold postures for a little bit longer, a couple of minutes. And another variation for this pose, if you feel that having both legs open at the same time is really a lot for the hip joints, you You can just straighten the right leg and let the left leg fall out. So you're in a half butterfly, or almost like you're in a tree pose, but you're just lying down. So this is a really nice variation. If you choose this one, we'll just swap out halfway through. Back to the breath. If the body is finding it slightly hard to relax here, it can be helpful to think of the breath as a sense of awareness or a sense of energy. So every time you inhale, you're inhaling that awareness into the body. And if you feel any parts of the body particularly feeling tight, maybe the muscles, all these little muscles around the hip joint are feeling tight, which is making it hard to relax into this pose, and let the knees start to draw down towards the ground. What that means for you. And as you exhale and that energy starts to leave the body, maybe finding a little bit of space just to relax any of those muscles, or even just have the thought of relaxing, releasing. And letting the eyes fall closed now if you're comfortable. Maybe the mind wants to wander a little bit, thinking about things that happened before we came to practice, thinking about things you have to do afterwards. If you find the mind wandering, just gently bringing your awareness back to your breath. If you ever feel like you fall out of the rhythm, or you're feeling a little bit distracted, maybe just focusing on the breathing. So even saying to yourself in your mind, inhale as you inhale, and exhale as you exhale. If you're in our half butterfly, so your left leg is bent, the right leg is extended, just using the hands to bring the left knee back to center, bending the right knee as well, so you've got both feet on the floor, and then extending the left leg, letting the opposite knee now, the right knee, fall out to the side. So your right foot is just gently up against your left leg, if that feels comfortable. Minute and a half. If you've just changed legs, or even if you haven't changed legs, just taking a moment to be aware of maybe how the hips feel different. If they do, my hip is a lot tighter than my left hip, so I always find I'm trying to focus on relaxing this hip. So wherever you are, making any adjustments so that you can settle in for the next minute or so. So we'll take another 10 long, slow breaths. more breaths here. Remembering if at any point it becomes too much, you can come out of the posture. And slowly blinking eyes open. We're going to gently bring the knees together. And then from here, just hugging knees into chest. So you want to feel your whole spine being supported by the mat here. It feels good. Gently rocking from side to side, getting a nice massage for the whole spine, especially the lower back. Maybe making little circles with the knees. Feels good for the lower back, and also a nice massage for the hip joint. So switching directions if you haven't already. And then letting our feet come to the ground. And we'll just gently come up to a nice comfortable seat. So sitting up on a pillow or on a block, if the lower back feels a little bit tight, and sitting however feels comfortable. So if you want to sit in a nice, easy cross-legged position, if it's more comfortable for you to sit with one leg in front, just finding one so it doesn't have to look the same as what I'm doing or what anybody's doing. So sitting up nice and tall here, and from here just letting your chin be really heavy. So your chin starts to sink down like you're trying to rest your chin on your chest. Keeping the rest of the spine nice and straight, keeping the shoulders low so that they start coming down, just coming up to the ears, thinking about your shoulder blades sliding down your back. So we've dropped the chin to our chest, maybe feeling the stretch all the way down the back of the neck, maybe all the way between the shoulder blades. If you're feeling really tight in the neck, this might be very intense, so just go really slow. Just taking 3 deep breaths here. Every inhale, feeling the rib cage expanding. And as you exhale, maybe find a little bit of space for the head to. From here, we're going to roll our right ear over the right shoulder. So rolling the neck so that your right ear comes over your right shoulder. You're starting to feel the stretch all the way down the left side. Maybe extending your left arm out, so letting your rest on the ground. And see here if you can feel the stretch going all the way down the side of the neck, maybe through the shoulder, down the arms, all the way into the fingertips. Might be a very subtle sensation, but believe me, it's doing a lot of good for the body. Stretching some of the tissues and the tendons that often are very tight. We'll take one more breath here. And exhale, letting hands rest back on the knees. Letting the head come back through center. We'll take one breath with chin to chest. And then rolling onto the other side. So now the opposite ear, over the shoulder. Feeling the stretch now down the right side of the neck. Maybe extending the right hand, letting the right fingertips rest next to you. See if you feel any difference here. But Maybe one side feels a little bit tighter or a little bit more open. Taking 2 more breaths here. Maybe letting the eyes fall closed. And bringing hands back to knees. Coming back through center. And slowly raising the head up so we're nice and stacked. Spine nice and straight. And from here, we're just going to get a little bit more mobility for the neck. So we're just going to make circles. Think of drawing circles with your nose. So draw the circle, coming up. Maybe your gaze goes up as you draw the top part of the circle and closing the loop. So making your circle as big or small as you'd like to. But just moving nice and slow. Seeing how the neck muscles and joints respond. Switching directions now, just to even it out. Maybe closing your eyes makes it a little bit easier to imagine that your nose is like a paintbrush. You're trying to draw a circle on a piece of paper in front of your face. And coming back to center. Beautiful, just taking your gaze over to the left, over to the right, nice and slow. And we're going to come to our next posture, which is going to be nice and lovely. Cat and cow. An active posture. Knees are about hip distance apart, so a way to test that. Putting your fists together, just having them between your knees to give you an estimate of that distance. So knees hip distance apart, hands placed directly underneath the shoulders. So your hands aren't far forward here, they're not too close to the knees here. You're in a nice tabletop position. So think of how the legs of a table have to be squarely angled off so that you can be nice and supported here. And now as we inhale, we're going to drop the belly, starting to look forward with our gaze, feeling the stretch through the front body. This is our cow pose. As you exhale, tucking the tailbone, starting to flex the spine in the other direction, letting the head drop down between the hands into our cat pose. If you've ever seen a cat when it's maybe a little bit startled. Inhaling, thinking of your belly button trying to drop down to the ground, so arching the back, maybe bending the elbows slightly. Exhaling, working nice and slow, seeing if you can almost imagine each vertebrae of the spine changing direction. As head comes between the arms, between the shoulders. Inhaling, dropping the belly, so really trying to feel the front, the skin of the front body stretching, even the muscles there. And exhaling, rounding through into our cat pose. So really pressing through the hands so you can really stretch. Feel the skin between the shoulder blades stretching maybe. We'll take 5 more rounds at your own pace. So letting your eyes fall closed if you like. Seeing if you can be motivated by the breath, if the movement can follow the breath. So inhaling as the belly drops down. Exhaling as you tuck the tailbone. And find that nice curve with the spine. Inhaling cow pose. Exhaling cat. Take two more at your own pace. And slowly coming back to a neutral spine. Taking a moment here, sitting back on the heels. If sitting back over the heels the ankles feel really tight, you can always pop a pillow or something between the bum and the heels to make a little bit more space there. And just taking a moment, letting the eyes fall closed, sitting up nice and tall. And just scanning the spine in particular now, seeing if you can feel any difference, if you feel any areas. Maybe feel a little bit less tight, maybe the shoulders feel a little bit more loose. Then from here, we've given the ankles a little bit of a stretch as well. Coming up onto our knees again. And our next posture will be camel. I'll just adjust the camera slightly so that my head is not cut out too much. So once again, checking that knees are hip width apart, really important for this posture. Straight, you're kneeling, but you're up nice and straight. So your shoulders are stacked over your hips are over your knees. Your tops of your feet are pressing into the ground. So from here, we'll bring our hands to rest at the small of the back with our fingertips touching. So you want your palms resting just at the base of your spine, with your fingertips touching, so your elbows are starting to pull backwards. So you can check out what's happening with my elbows. Instead of being here, I'm opening through the chest so that my elbows are drawing together. And now preparing for camel pose. So you're going to inhale, and as you do, starting to take your gaze up, and we're starting to move into a gentle back bend. So using your hands, you want to think of the hips pushing forward as the head comes up and over. And when you go into your back bend, you're not trying to think of going behind you. Actually try to think of reaching up with the head. So we're going to slowly into camel. So really pushing the hips forward, so keeping a little bit of engagement in the bum. If it feels like it gives you a bit of more support to tuck the toes underneath, you can give that a try. So taking a few breaths here, a very gentle back bend, keeping this movement as small as necessary. So if you have lower back issues, I'd make it a really small back bend, or even skip this entirely. If a full camel is part of your practice, and only if you feel no pain, I'd start to slide the hands down the legs, coming to cross the ankles. Remember to keep the hips pushing forward as your gaze goes up. We'll take two more breaths here. And then slowly bringing hands back to the small of the back, to the base of the spine, and slowly coming back up. So we're stacked up once again. Sitting back over the heels again. You can grab your pillow or a folded blanket, put it between the bum and the heels, and just let the torso rest down on the thighs, letting the head come to rest on your mat or on a block. As we come into a nice child's pose, just giving the spine a little time to adjust after the back bend. Come by your sides, your hands are resting by your feet. So staying here for another 10 breaths or so. So checking back in with the breath. Sometimes when we go into heart openers, the heart rate can start to pick up and the breathing might want to start getting faster. So here in our child's pose, it's a really good pose to really focus in on the breath. So with every inhale, feeling a little bit as you start to fill the lungs and fill the belly up. And as you exhale, maybe you find a bit of space and you sink a little bit deeper. Maybe your forehead comes a little bit closer to the mat. Just see how it feels. Just using your breath to slow down your heart rate. So inhaling for 3 or 4 counts, holding slightly, so just pausing at the top, and then exhaling for 4 or 5 counts. We'll take 5 more breaths here. And then slowly bringing hands underneath the shoulder, just so you can gently push up into the maybe making some little circles with the nose again, seeing how the spine feels. Taking a gentle twist over to your left, so maybe your left hand comes to rest behind you, right hand is resting on your left knee. So your gaze starts to go over to the left and maybe comes behind you. Thinking of your hips staying nice and square. You're just rotating the rib cage as you twist over to your left. Making this a nice small twist, so we're not trying to feel extreme sensations here. Moving over to the opposite side, so twisting over to the right. Taking your gaze over to the right. And coming back to center. Beautiful. We'll take another back bend, or heart opener rather. So coming back to our all fours position, maybe making some little circles with the ankles. Feeling a little bit cramped, pointing and flexing the feet gently, getting the blood flow back there. And then from our tabletop position, I'll adjust the camera. There we go. From our tabletop position, just bringing your elbows to rest where your hand was. So your elbow is now where your hand was, your arms reaching ahead, so your arms nice and parallel like 2 train tracks. So your hands aren't coming together, they're not rotating out. They're nice and straight. And here we are in a nice, gentle, heart-opening pose, heart-melting pose. If this already feels like it's enough for you, you can stay here, letting the head release down if that feels okay, or finding something to prop underneath the forehead if you'd like a bit more support. If you want to take the posture a little bit further, you can start to walk your knees backwards, trying to see if you can keep your hips stacked over your knees so the hips go as the knees also go backwards. So you want to be doing this, like you're going into a plank. You want the knees to still be directly underneath the hips. Then you'll find a deeper opening through the chest, through the shoulders, thinking of your heart center, so right here in your chest, melting down towards the ground. Again, using a block or a pillow for some support here for the head. Checking in with the shoulders that they're not feeling any pain. Also quite an intense stretch for the shoulders and the muscles under the arms, the muscles between the ribs. So we'll hold here for about a minute. So remembering you can always come forward into a more supported, heart-melting pose if you like. And once again, finding that long, slow breathing. So as you inhale, feeling the skin of the belly stretch, maybe a similar feeling to what we had during our cow pose. And as you exhale, maybe you find a little bit of release, a little bit of more relaxation. Taking about 5 more breaths, so making any adjustments you need to. I'm coming a little bit closer to my knees just to give it a little bit of ease here. Taking one more breath. And slowly coming back to all fours, so walking the knees forward again, coming up onto the hands. And now we'll take a moment in our extended child's pose, so bringing our big toes together, so bringing the feet together, taking the knees nice and wide, maybe as wide as your mat. And then from here, sinking the hips back over the heels. And now you see you've got a little bit of space here between the legs, maybe to come down into our extended child's pose. So again, lots of modifications you can do here. You can have a block or pillow between the heels and the bum. You can also have a nice cushion or anything nice and soft underneath the chest. If that helps you to bring up the ground towards you a little bit. And lastly, you can always slide a pillow or a block underneath the forehead. Support. We'll just take 5 breaths here. So arms stretched out to the front of the mat. Once they stretch as far as they go, just letting the arms be heavy. So you're not actively trying to stretch forward. You're just laying your arms out in front of you. From here, we'll just take a little bit of side stretches, staying in our extended child's pose. So just bringing your head up enough to maybe peek at me. We're going to first go over to our left. So walking your left hand off your mat to the left and bringing your right hand closer to join it. So now it's like you're reaching forward over to your left side and finding that relaxation again, letting the body be heavy, letting the head be heavy. Maybe feeling that stretch now all the way from the right hip crease up through the side body. So those little muscles between the ribs, up through the shoulder, all the way along the right arm. So we'll take 3 more breaths here. Taking 1 more deep breath. And then slowly coming back through the side stretch over to the other side. So now walking your right hand off the right side of your mat. Working with any foliage you might have in the area. Bringing your left hand to come closer to it. They don't have to touch at all. They can just be normal distance apart. And then from here, finding that release again, letting the body and the head be heavy. We'll take 5 breaths on this side as well. So as you inhale, feel how maybe the left ribs, the muscles between the left ribs stretch a little bit more as the lungs fill up. Taking 2 more breaths here. And coming back through center. And coming back up to our all fours. Just pointing and flexing the feet slowly to get the circulation back at the feet. Maybe they're feeling a bit stiff. So making little circles with the ankles. And then bringing the feet to one side so you can sit down. Coming to a comfortable seat again. We'll take, I think we'll do square pose today. So you start off with legs stretched out in front of you, sitting up nice and tall. Again, if this is feeling a bit hard for the lower back, if you feel like it's difficult to sit up without the back wanting to sort of round like this, you can always sit up on a block or a pillow or a rolled up blanket, whatever feels good. And then from here, we're just going to bend the right knee and then cross the right ankle over the left thigh. So you don't want to put the ankle over the knee because that's going to put pressure on the knee joint, especially if you're sitting up on something. So just on the left thigh, it's resting. And here we are in half square. So this is a really nice opening for the right hip. If this already feels like a lot, you're welcome to stay in half square. If you like to extend the posture, you can unravel, and we're going to essentially stack one leg over the other. So bringing the left foot in and then bringing the right foot to rest on top of the left knee. So you're making like a little square here. Again, adjustments, you can always slip a pillow between your left foot and the right knee. You can slide a block in between there. It is quite an intense opening for the right hip. And I'd only recommend coming into full square if you can keep both of your sitting bones nice and grounded on the mat. So if you're starting to sway over to one side, I would suggest extending the left leg. But here we are in a nice hip opener, similar to the kind of opening we get when we're in pigeon pose, or if we were in reclined figure four. These are all just names though. And let's just focus here where we are. So taking 5 more breaths here. If you are in full square, just try to make sure that your shins are kind of parallel with each other, so you're not sitting sort of like this. Trying to sit up nice and tall. Taking 1 more breath in. And exhale. Gently unraveling. So moving nice and slow here. Bending both knees so your feet are flat on the ground. Just taking a moment to rest on our forearms and just gently swaying knees from side to side, moving really slowly. A little windshield wiper motion. And just being aware of maybe the right hip is feeling a lot of sensations and the left hip isn't there yet. So remembering we're going to even it out. So taking 1 more round on each side here with our windshield wipers. And then coming back up to sit nice and secure on our block or on the mat. And now we'll take shoelace on the other side. So half shoelace is just going to be bending the left leg and then crossing the left ankle over the right thigh here. So it's almost like you're making a number 4 with your legs. So this is half shoelace. If you'd like to take the full posture, bending the right leg and then stacking this left leg on top of it, which looks something like this. So as you work through square, it can be really challenging, especially at first if your hips are really tight. If you are practicing on your own, this is a really nice one to try and hold for slightly incrementally longer periods of time. And you'll find as you do that this top knee slowly start to sink down closer to your bottom ankle. And someday they might touch, someday they might not touch. But it's a really nice opening for the hips. Checking in that you're sitting up nice wing bones. If you're in full square, even if you're in half square. We'll take 5 more breaths here. So maybe letting your eyes fall closed. Inhaling, filling the lungs, feeling the belly push out slightly to make some space. Exhaling, pulling the belly button in towards the spine. So finding that little contraction to help you really empty out the lungs. Taking 1 more breath. And blinking eyes open, we're slowly wiggle our legs, moving nice and slow, taking a moment to go back onto our forearms again, and just finding our little windshield wipers. Also a beautiful massage for the hip joint here, which is a good way to make sure the joint stays healthy. Just maintaining that range of movement. And slowly coming up. And we'll take our very last posture today before we go to our Shavasana and close the class. So coming to lie all the way down on your mat, keeping knees bent so feet are planted on the floor. We're just going to take a nice reclined twist. So this can look however feels comfortable for you. If you just want to let the knees fall to one side, and your lower back feels okay, both of your shoulders are still nice and pasted to your mat, so you're not starting to roll over. Then you can take this variation. You can lift up the legs, so the shins are parallel to the floor, to the side, more intense. You can even stretch out one leg, your left leg, and then just bring your right leg over. And again, remembering this is a nice place for a pillow or blanket to give you some support. Letting your arms stretch out to the side. And since our knees are falling to the left, maybe taking your gaze over your right shoulder. So the benefits of twists is a really beautiful massage for the internal organs, which is really good, especially in times of stress or anxiety. You're going to make sure they're taken good care of. We'll take 5 more breaths here. And then bringing the head back to center. And then knees coming back to center. Knees into chest again. So not pulling them all the way in tight, just slightly. Just so the lower back is nice and flat against the mat. And then preparing for our twist on the other side. So whichever you take it, letting the knees fall over to the right. Again, using as many pillows, blankets, blocks, whatever, to help rest your legs on if that makes it more comfortable. Extending arms out to the side. And now our gaze goes over the opposite shoulder, the left shoulder. Feeling both shoulders nice and supported by the mat. If your left shoulder is starting to come up, just making your twist a little bit less intense. Maybe letting the eyes fall closed here for our last posture. 3 more breaths on this side. And slowly bringing head back to center, knees back to center. One last time, hugging the knees into the chest, gently rocking from side to side. Should feel really nice in the lower back. And now moving into our final posture, Shavasana or corpse pose. So stretching your feet to the edge of your mat, letting your toes fall open, so letting your feet fall open, nice and comfy. Taking your arms out by your sides, taking up as much space as you can or as feels good. If the lower back feels like it would like a little bit more support here, because you will have a little bit of a natural arch, you can always come back to your constructed rest pose. So knees together, feet as wide as your mat. That gives some nice support for the lower back. Wherever you are, letting the eyes fall closed, letting your breath come back to its natural depth. Just gently scanning the body, seeing how it feels. So starting at the very bottom with the feet, so with the toes, soles of the feet, the ankles, taking that awareness up the calves, through the knee, the thighs, scanning up the groin, and the bum, feeling out how the lower back is doing, the stomach and the belly, the rib cage, the shoulders, the hands and the fingertips, coming up through the neck, back of the head, muscles of the forehead, the muscles around the eyes, just relaxing them. Relaxing the muscles of the jaw, letting the tongue be heavy in the mouth. And just taking the next few minutes, the work of the body being done, and letting anything inside come up, any feelings, just noticing them without any judgment. Slowly coming back into whatever room you're in, whatever space you're in. Keeping the eyes closed, just gently closed. If it feels good, taking arms up above the head for a nice full body stretch. And keeping eyes closed if you can. Rolling over onto your left side. So using the left arm as a little bit of a pillow for the head. Almost like you're just taking a nap. And then coming up, taking your time to a nice comfortable seat. Bringing hands together in front of the chest. So really feeling your thumbs pressing into your breastbone. And letting the eyes fall closed as you take a moment just to say thank you to yourself for carving out an hour of time to restore the body, see how the body feels, what it needs. Slow the breath down a little bit. And remembering that any peaceful sensations or any sense of calm comes from you and your own breath. So taking a moment to thank yourself, maybe whisper a little thank you to yourself. Thank you for joining this evening's class with me. Namaste. Thanks for joining, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well and staying healthy, staying safe. We'll be doing more yoga in the future. Remember, you can always come back to this episode or to a previous session we recorded. So just remember to take time out of your schedule to take care of yourself when you can. And I'm sending good vibes